Hey everybody, I am going to drill 4 holes in the top of this version bass drum and get my toms mounted here instead of on a cymbal stand, and I'm going to go into a lengthy explanation why I'm doing that. And I wanted to just video this. So here is my awesome breakout bass drum. This is the Premier Janista Maple. So this is one of their newer ones, and it rocks. This bass drum rocks. I love it. Using it a lot for my jazz gigs right now, but I want to be able to use it for more rock pop situations. And I don't like having my tom suspended on a cymbal stand, and I'm gonna go into a big explanation why. So I bought, I don't know what you call this, but I bought this. This is what accepts the mounting system. It is of the same series. You'll notice with the screws here, the same kind of big screws as they have on all the new ones, so it does match. It's kind of scary because you don't want to mess this up. You get one shot to do it, but I'm going to show you how as best I can, and let's get to it. So pause. First thing you want to do is remove the head. You want to have access to the inside of the bass drum. So this baby's coming off. Pause. So the first thing you want to do after you get your head off is you want to put some tape on the bottom, on the inside of your shell where you're going to be drilling through. This will just help. It's just kind of reassuring. It's not that crazy important, but it just will, as long as you go slow, it will help the the wood from splintering as you go through. But you can kind of, if you don't have tape, it's not a crazy problem, but it's just a nice reassuring thing. You just want to make sure you go real slow with the drill. So I'm doing that on the bottom here, on the inside, and step 2. Now, here comes one of the most important parts probably of this process. I need to get this on here centered, and this is the part that's on the inside of the bass drum, and this comes down, and it basically it doesn't sandwich the wood between the two, but you get the idea. Wood is going to be between these two, and this part prevents the pipe from wiggling inside that hole. Now, the shell here is round, obviously. It's not flat. So if you take this dimension, right, there's 4 screws and a giant hole in the center, and you do it as it is with a tape measure, and then put that on here, you're going to run into a problem because the slight rounded aspect of the shell is it's not going to be exactly the dimensions as if you just did it straight across here. You need one of these. Now this is, it comes with this piece. I bought this brand new, old school, right? Brand new, 2395 from England, and it comes with this, which is actually just keeps the metal from potentially scratching or abusing this nice finish. It's a nice just little barrier between the metal and the shell, but it also acts as a template. So you put it down where you want it, and I'm not scared to do work like this. I think I have a good eye for centering, and one of the advantages is this is I can put it wherever I want. Sometimes I think they're too far away from the batter end, so I can move it up a little bit. But you also have here that's helping me out to find the center. You have the Premier logo, their beautiful logo right here, and that shows me exactly where the center is. So I put this down. Put this down, and as I said, I have a good eye for centering things when I'm working on drums or anything. So I'm very confident in it being center. And if you're not, you can measure it, and that definitely will get you center. So that's it. 1 second. So here I just put my tom up on top, and I feel very comfortable with where the placement is. I've taped it, and so now it's not moving, and I'm gonna take a whiteboard marker and circle in the holes. Here we go. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and just outline this whole thing here. That's it. Step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. So now I have, this is a 44 millimeter, I don't know what you call these things in French, I forget what you call them in English. They drill holes through walls, through tiles. So it's 44 millimeters, and it fits perfectly inside this quote-unquote template, which is the plastic gasket between the piece that accepts the suspension system and right, this goes on the bottom underneath. So here we go. Now I'm going to leave the plastic template right there and go right through that plastic template. That's going to really make sure that I don't slip and get offline. If I take it off, I run the risk of just guessing where it was. So I've just decided I'm going to leave it right there and get with it. Here we go. You ready? So I've pushed the drill bit just a little bit into the top of this cover, into the top of the shell, and to make sure that it's in the center. And I'm going to go very, very slow. I got a nice professional drill, and I can regulate the speed of this of the drill. Now you don't want to go too slow, because if you do, it will rip up. The idea is that there's teeth there, so if they're not going fast enough, it's not going to make a clean enough cut, and you might rip up the wrap. However, Premier is awesome at their wraps and their chromes and everything, so I'm pretty sure that this is, well, it's a professional kit. The wrap is probably glued on impeccably. So here we go, nice and slow. I can feel the holes right there, and let's go. Now I can see it's catching this plastic, so I'm gonna, my hole is there, so that's good. I'm gonna lift it up, put it right there. It's slipping, so I'm going to have to pause. All right, so I'm ready. So it was slipping. The bit was just a little too far up inside inside this chamber here, whatever you want to call that. Anyway, so I moved it back, and it'll keep me from slipping, keep the bit from slipping. So secure the bass drum as you do this. Go nice and slow. Make sure paying attention. That's it. Oh my gosh! What is he doing? Beautiful. Beautiful. That's it. I can't believe I just did that. Little scary, I know. But there it is. That's what it looks like. Right. Now, so my markers moved a little bit, but put this back on, I can see where they're at. And now I'm going to drill those 4 holes. Check. Good. So now I'm drilling the 4 holes around the big hole. I've measured it again. Now you want to be careful, because you don't want to have the inside of the hole. You want it to be going straight down, so it's slightly on an angle. If I were to take the drill and do this, so it's straight to the shell, I'm going to have a problem getting the screws in, and it risks splintering the wood on the other side. So you want it to go, you want to make sure that the bit is straight to the ground, right? And because this is a really awesome wrap and it's hard, I want to be careful not to let the bit slip and run down the wrap. So you got to go nice and slow, and make sure you feel the bit grabbing, finding its center on that wrap, pushing it a little bit. So here we go. I'm watching the debris to know where I'm at. If I'm through the wrapper into the wood, I don't want it to slip. I'm not through yet. The bit is a little dull and it's burning through. Can't do anything about it because it's the size that I need. So here we go. Just blow it. That's it. That's good. That's it. Practice. Perfecto. Here we go. Next one. Right in the center of your spot. Push. Get the bit to find its center. Nice and slow. The bit is, that's okay. Smells like popcorn. Okay. Can't do anything about it. Sometimes that's how this is. You know, when you're working, you got to deal with stuff like that. And I don't have another bit, and it would take me some time to go get one. This is a little dull. That's all right. Just be careful and take your time. Don't be impatient. Now you see, once I punch through, I don't want that to happen because it risks splintering. It hasn't done it. So I'm gonna just hold my elbow up on my leg here So when that happens, I can catch myself. Because the bit is dull. Yeah, it's real dull. I gotta get a new one. That's it. Very good. All right. Last one. So the mark is kind of moved, and I'm going to double check. Where's my... Oh no, they don't line up. Of course they do. Okay. Now, I would not be doing this if I have never had any experience doing this stuff. I have. So I have, you through experience, like anything, you gain confidence in yourself. And that's it. That's just how that works. Through experience. Yeah, this bit is terrible. So right in the center. Punch it a little bit. Make sure it doesn't slip. And go for it. Look at the bit, don't look at anything else. Make sure you're safe, you got a good balance in your body. Yeah, I don't like the angle. So, like my dad always used to say when working, if you don't like it, if something's weird, don't sit there and go through it. Fix the angle, make it right for you, until you feel good about it. You can feel if it's not right. Here we go, that feels better. It is so dull. There it is. Caught myself and beautiful. Here we go. Can't see them. That's the point. Here we go. So, now what's beautiful about this system is you don't have to clean it up that much. You can, but there's the gaskets. I'm cleaning up enough though, Everything looks very, very clean down here as well. Let me see if I can get it for you. See? Nice and clean. Nothing splintering. Here we go. So, that's it, folks. Now, we take The moment of victory. This goes on the bottom. This goes here. This goes down. So, now the bit, the hole here, I had to make sure it's not this hole, right? It's this hole, which is larger. You can make a mistake, and that's a that's a major mistake if you do that, because if you make the hole this size and then you have to re-drill and make the hole to accept this size, that is a pain in the you-know-what, because when you drill with these kind of bits, I forget what this is called anyway, if the size is too close, if the larger size is too close to this size, it's going to chip all over the place. You risk losing your center. That's probably the biggest thing, because there's no more piece of wood in the center now to guide the bit correctly in the center. So you kind of only have one shot at this. So make sure that you don't make that mistake. This hole versus this hole. They are very different. See this diameter here as opposed to this diameter. Very different. I've made that mistake in the past, not on a drum, but I've made that mistake, and it is a royal pain, because like I said, you don't have your center. The bit has nothing to keep itself from sliding all over the place. It's a big mess. So, oh baby, here we go. Goes like this. I want it like this because actually probably can't. It might hit that logo, but that's no problem. I think that is the case. So I'm not even going to mess with it, and I'll do it this way. These kind of things, it's kind of a one shot. I mean, you got more than one try, but it's not fun to go in and out several times. See, like what I said, that angle, the bits were definitely large enough, but that angle means that some of those, I don't want to split it. There it is. Beautiful. Oh, 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 oh. That is just great. I cannot wait. I cannot freaking wait. This is what we got. Cha-ching! And, you know, you can measure this stuff in the center, but nobody's going to come and go, is this, you know? No, it's your eye. So if it's good to your eye, it's good. Now, you know, like I said again, I have experience doing this, so I trust my eye with dimensions and space and stuff enough to do something like this. But if you're not, you can measure it all out. This then, you know, I kind of think that piece of plastic goes on the other end, but it definitely looks good like that. I'm wondering if I should just take that piece of plastic. I think I will, because otherwise it's going to make an indentation. I gotta take this out again. No, I don't. I'm wondering if I should get that gasket and put it on the inside. And pause a second and think about this. So I lift it up. You can see here, my finger goes under there. I lifted this up, and there is a mark, an indentation, a mark that accepts a part that's in this top piece. So that plastic template, whatever, is on the right end. So push this back down nice and gently. I don't want to screw it up. Tap, 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 and you're good. That's it. Oh, beautiful. This goes down. There's not one or two ways of doing this. And I got a whole bunch of washers that came with it. Everything comes with it. So, take this baby. This is going to increase my love for this kit. I'll explain why I went through all of this, and some drummers do this. I think this is also a game changer into buying a kit if it's like this or not. But I freaking love Janistas, and I love Premier, the hardware. These kind of lugs, they're some of my favorites. Really, I'm not joking. This is my second Janista, so if that proves anything, this one's maple, like I said. The other one was birch. Is birch. But so I just got it, asked it from Premier, and asked them, and knowing that I was going to do this eventually. But this is a big changer, and I'm going to get into that in a second here. So you don't have to watch me screw these things in. Put it on pause, and I'll get back to you momentarily. So right now I am using a socket set to put these nuts back on, and they're tough. They have the inside of the thread, there's a piece of plastic which keeps them from unthreading. So if you're doing that it's in a tight position. If you're doing it with a wrench of some kind, you'll sit here for 30 minutes trying to do it, and you'll probably get a blister. So here we go. In about 2 seconds. Go on. Socket sets. Get yourself one. Definitely worth it. Oh, beautiful. All right, here we go. Do I have... One sec. So, the final little tug here, the final little turn I'm going to do by hand. I just want to make sure it's nice. You don't want to over thread stuff. It's a really powerful drill and I could damage the thread. So the last few studs I'm going to do by hand. You don't want to go, don't turn Hulk on yourself and over thread stuff. That's a big problem. You just want to get it nice and snug. And do I have... Yeah, I do. There it is. There it is. And now I'm going to give her a nice little clean. All the sawdust off. Looks like it was meant to be there. Ta-da! Yep. So, now, my trusty mount, or entry for the tone mount. Now, I don't currently have the Premier. It's called the Premier. It's an older. For the moment, they're not stocking them, so I gotta find one. And I'm in the process of finding one, but no biggie. Tama, Gibraltar, Pearl doesn't do this system. I have found that this kind of system with the ball inside and the screw is not on top of the ball right there. It's clamping the ball into position. I have found that we're talking more than 30 years of mistakes and problems and gear and stuff. I have found that these Tama old school ones from the Swingster series of the 70s, or the 80s, not the newer versions. So like this one comes from that red Tama back there, which is a red badge. It's like a notch below Stuart Copeland King Beat. It basically is, minus a few features. This mounting system is unbelievable. I mean, this is almost, let's see, 80, it's almost 40 years. It's 40 years old, and it's still impeccable. The chrome is still really well. It's also nice and conspicuous. It's not big and bulky. The new Premier ones, they have a hole here that accepts a cymbal stand, which is convenient for splashes and stuff. But it's not that big of a deal. But more importantly, that tube fits this. And of course, no surprises, I tried it before I did this, so I know it's going to work. Ta-da! It's the memory lock. And actually, I'm going to turn it the other way. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have my freaking tom suspension system back on my bass drum. I'm going to explain why this is what I prefer in a moment. Alright, so now put the bass drum back in position. And here is the second half of this. So as you can see, here's my mount. Because it was a Virgin bass drum, there was no mounting system on the bass drum, obviously, if you've been following. And so I was looking for options. Premier gives you, hold on a second. Premier gives you a really, really awesome tom holder for cymbals. Really awesome. Chrome, impeccable, really, really awesome. And I was using it with Premier Stamp, you can see right there. So I was using it for a while, and I mean, it's great. It is great. But the problem with this that I don't like is, it takes, and probably the most important, it takes more time to set up with this. At a gig, I just like to put the pieces in, cha, cha, ta, 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 go, and we're good to go. Takes me very little time to set up. I've been doing it for a while now, so, and this, on a cymbal stand, you have to, it's not a big deal, but, you know, it is important. You have to make sure, well, actually, if you don't take it seriously, your cymbal stand can fall over, among other things. But anyway, so when you put this on your cymbal stand, there's a few inconveniences. The good parts, the good points to this is that you can put the tom wherever you want. The cymbal stand can move around. It's no longer connected to the bass drum, so that's a good point. But that's pretty much all there is, because otherwise this, it has a little give, so when you put it on, plus these Premier drums come with a really, really awesome, really classy kind of rim system. You can barely see it. See that? You can barely see it's on there. It's not very bulky. But anyway, it has a little bit of give, as it should, because it's floating. So you have to take into consideration that when you put the angle of this right. But one of the major drawbacks is that if you're like me and you like big cymbals on your left, between your hi-hat and your first tom, you can't do it. You literally can't do it unless you use a boom arm. And using a boom arm with a big cymbal creates a problem with weight. Because now I'm going to have over here a big cymbal booming off and to the left. My tom is hanging to the right. And so now I got to make sure that I have a very, very heavy duty stand back here to support all of this weight. If I'm using a 22-inch cymbal up here, it's very, it's not going to work if you have a light stand. If you don't pay attention to your weights, your stand will literally fall over. If you get the right stand and the angle's correct, you can have smaller cymbals, but you cannot have larger cymbals off the same stand. Because a 22, this is only that big away from the stand. So any cymbal, I mean, this is the center right there. That's the center of the stand. So it's not even here. It's here. So now, I don't know if you can see it. You can't really see it. See so you don't want to mess it up. So if I take this and put it in here, look. So this is a 19-inch, and it's below it. The rod is right below it. If it was a 22, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I won't have full access to my tom, which is a really nice thing. It's really pleasant to have your tom free and open to everything, and not having cymbals hovering over them. It's just, I like that vibe where everything is just open and easy and simple to get to. So that's the major inconvenience. I could never put a 22 over here. Like I said, a big stand and a huge boom arm, maybe, but that's like overkill, anyway, for me. The other option is doing what I was doing, is a separate stand with a separate mounting system that goes into the tube. In this case, the tom that I had, it didn't fit in the tube, so I used the clamp. And you can see, I was using the clamp. Where am I at here? Right here? See? So this is where that fit in here. But look what it adds. I got to take this, and this to the gig. That's a lot. We're all trying to get our gear to the least amount necessary. It's not fun to carry all of this excess stuff around. So now I get to take this baby out, free up my space, which brings me to the next point. This also it frees up another stand, and it frees up another clamp. So now I got one more cymbal stand back in the game. I'm falling in love with this. Here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you. This is another great thing about having your tom mounted to your bass drum. Okay, when you do this, put it up here, top. Oh, beauty. All right. Give me a second. I'm gonna just kind of rough it for a moment. Oh, thank the Lord. Took me, 15 seconds? So, thank the Lord. Here we go. So, now this is back, and all of a sudden, I can get my 22. Let's put 22 Paiste Trad Ride. Move the stand over. Put it up. And it is not in the way of anything, and nothing's bothering it. I have full access to the tom. That's it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Done. Because one of the inconveniences of taking the toms and putting them on a separate stand, another one, actually I should say to your left here, is it shifts everything over one stand space more to the left. So this was, the little tom was over here, and this, obviously I could no longer put a big cymbal up here, I had to put a small cymbal, but the stand had to be moved over a little bit, my hi-hats had to be moved over a little bit, so it kind of just spreads everything apart. And for most drummers in pop situations, rock situations, like 90% of the time, we're on our hi-hats. So the stuff on your left is really important in rock, funk, in a lot of styles. I'd say almost every style, but jazz. So that's incredibly important. Now, if we're talking like one cymbal space more to the left, now think about your bass drum pedals. I got a double pedal. It pushed everything further away, and it starts to get difficult. It starts to get a little bit more complex. Whereas this, it's in position. It's the standard set. It's been like that since, I don't know, what, let's say 70 years now, at least, going back to 1950. I think that's about right. So I can now get things back into their classic position. Moving over stuff, a whole cymbal stand space, and fix that. And that's it. Awesome. Awesome. Now, some people will say that, I can't believe you. First of all, they'll probably like, you're the stupidest person in the world for drilling a hole in your awesome new Premier. Some people might say this argument. It's going to change your sound. That bass drum is going to sound terrible now. You put a tom on. I can't believe you did that. Oh my God. That's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap because everybody's muffling bass drums anyway. It's a bunch of crap. If anything, you never hear this. If anything, it's going to add harmonies. If you want to actually get into the technicalities, it's going to add harmonies to the bass drum because the bass drum is vibrating the tom. Okay, so I like this. It's going to sound even more alive, but we're talking like that much because it's muffled and the tom is muffled. So it's really, really not a big deal. But you do notice it when you have bass drums and toms that are not muffled, that hitting the bass drum vibrates the tom and vice versa. So it sounds large. It sounds not harmonious, but it sounds, there's harmonics going on. There's a resonance from the bass drum to the tom, from the tom to the bass drum, etc. So that idea that it's going to sound smaller is not correct. But you go ahead, try, do what you want to do. But over, like I said, let's see, 30, 40 years now, that's what I've come to realize. When you're playing a jazz setting now, let's talk with the right side here. A jazz setting, you can still put one tom here and move the cymbal over and capture your jazz setting. Not a big deal. You have that extra arm there, you can add a cowbell if you want. It's there for other stuff. It's really cool and convenient. What else was I going to say about this? What else was I going to say about this? So the sound... I didn't even mention, this is an obvious one, when you go to gigs now, setting up your tom is, you put that in, one item that's about that big, you put it in, you put the tom on, done. There's no figuring out angles and space and all that stuff. Plus, I know what I was going to say. Plus, it's more compact, so it's easier to get into tighter places, and any gigging drummer of the city knows that we oftentimes don't have huge spaces to play. We're often in corners, around spaces, around columns. So you do need that space, that extra compactness. I think this whole idea here, which is cool, kind of, but for certain situations, for adding little stuff on cymbal stands. But I think this got more popular in the 90s when people were adding huge rack toms up here. And it just didn't make any sense with a huge bass drum, 22, 24-inch bass drum, adding a huge rack tom. You were playing way up here now. Literally. You had to tilt the tom, it looks kind of weird. So the drummers, grunge drummers, they would start to put, naturally, that makes very good sense, to put it on a snare stand and keep it down, even though you got a huge bass drum there. And they just dealt with it. Well, after that, that's my theory. After that, I think other drummers are like, well, that's kind of cool. I can put my tom wherever I want, and even though it doesn't have to be a giant rack drum and rack tom, and I can do it with a small bass drum, because it does come in handy with a very, very small bass drum. You can't mount, let's say I have a 16 here. Well, the tom, unless you have a serious mounting system, a high one, that you might be bothered by the height that you can get from the tom if your bass drum is too small, for example. You know, stuff like that, where this does come in handy. So it does have a service, needless to say. But, folks, in the 1980s, in the 1970s, in the 1960s, massive, unbelievable drummers were playing this kind of setup. In the 90s and the 80s, Weckl, Kalyuta, Gadd, Keltner, Porcaro. Porcaro, he was on a rack system. He's the one who invented that with Pearl. But anyway, you see them, Elvin Jones, oh my gosh, I mean, Peter Erskine, I mean, James Gadson, Steve Ferrone, I mean, just everybody, Phil Collins, everybody who's, you know, the giants were using a standard system. And it worked perfectly fine. I never heard Elvin Jones say, I don't like my toms on my bass drum because it really takes away the sound of my bass drum. I want them separately suspended on cymbal stands. He never said that. You never hear Weckl saying that. You never hear Gadd, Vinny Kalyuta, Steve Ferrone. You never hear any of them, Omar Hakim, any of them complaining that their toms are mounted to the bass drum. It's nice. Cindy Blackman, Terry Lynn Carrington, Kirk Covington. Greg Bissonette, Ringo. You know, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Perfectly great music. Paul Liam, John J. Robinson. There's so many. I can't even think of all of them. So many drummers playing with toms racked on their bass drum. So that's a bunch of crap, in my opinion. And I think one of the problems in this industry is everybody is so afraid to say with confidence what's crap and what's not crap, because everybody's afraid to offend everybody. So everything is just awesome. Everything is great. Oh, that's so great. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. So we're getting into like this big chaotic mess of everything is awesome and I have no opinion about anything. I'm not like that. I think that's crap. This is hands down phenomenal. Yet another reason why it's great. The toms on the bass drum, suspended on the bass drum. Mounted. Helps bass drum creep. When you have a virgin bass drum, nothing's on it, no weight, and you're blasting through rock, music, double bass, whatever, the bass drum will slip. And it slips even with toms, but now you take the weight that the toms and the mounting system added to it, and now you take that off, it goes even further. So there's many, many, many good reasons to go back to this system. I think the companies, out of cost, went to this because now, instead of having to deal with a big mounting system, they just bought this and said, stick it on one of your cymbals. So it helped them out to reduce cost, to provide you with a better, a more powerful kit. And they just figured, like me, if you were so inclined, you'd do this. Like we do with everything. If you want to up your car, you buy the stock version, and then you do your little stuff to make it even better. But again, this is a wonderful scenario And that's kind of all she wrote. I'm just so happy to get this back into a classic situation. I've been at my work where I'm most of the time. It's been now 21 years. I play on a standard setup. Toms are here, cymbals, standard setup. 5-piece kit, standard setup, and it is just, it's beautiful. It's great. The ride cymbal I admit, took me some time to get used to it. I like it a little off to the right, so I have my tom open for nice big fills, and I don't have my sticks coming up under the cymbal. But it's definitely well worth the effort if you want to do what I just did. As far as pricing is concerned, the plate here on top of the bass drum, I found the factory version that matches this kit for under $30. The Tama suspension mounting system thing here, it came with that kit, the Red Badge kit, so I didn't have to buy any money for that. But they're generally don't get anything. You can actually get a brand new one. I saw DW makes them. You can get used ones if you find a Tama used one like this. Get it. Just make sure that the ball is clamped like this on the side and not on top, because on top it will tend to slip. If you're using it a lot, undoing it, putting it back, it'll slip and break. These aren't going to break. What else? That's pretty much it. I mean, technically speaking, the drill, it's professional Boss drill, so that's awesome. The bits cost me that one with the big hole, and the extension, about $20. So all in all, you're looking at about maybe $150 more to do this once you add. No, actually, if you have the drill, you're up there in like the $250 range. If you have that, to buy one that has a way to monitor your speed as you're drilling, right? So you can see with the drill, we're talking about $200 investment. That $200 was taken away and replaced with this when they sold you those awesome drums. So they were able to put that $200 elsewhere on the kit, or just reduce it and give you a burn-in drum set with this system for much cheaper. But this, you can't beat this. Hands down, my favorite setup. And I just keep thinking of all those greats that had it and never complained about it. So I'm just gonna say thank you for checking this out. If you're here, it was a long one, and I appreciate you guys checking this out. If you want to talk to me about anything, mounting your tom, or any other kind of version that you want to do with your tom, feel free. And that's it. I am just gonna sign off and give this baby a go. Ciao.